we are into the presentation. So I'm really glad that you're here because it gives me a chance to talk about actually my favorite AI research tool. I use a lot of them, and I have also given talks on a lot of them. But you know what? SciSpace is really my favorite. So let me just tell you that all the images, if you're interested in images for your presentations or for your work, whatever you're doing, I use ideogram for all the images. A little bit about me, in case things weren't mentioned. I am and have been an ESL teacher, both in the K-12 for young learners, primarily high school, as well as higher education at colleges. I currently teach immersive technologies in an MSc program at a distance, fully online, in a Moodle platform, if you're not familiar with it, at a university in Greece called Demikritis, University of Thrace. And I know what it's like as a teacher to teach to EFL students who are researching and writing articles, papers, and so on, and the difficult and challenges that they have. So I think I understand exactly where you're coming from and some of the challenges. So this is an overview of what we'll be discussing today. First of all, how can AI support? And I'm referring to SciSpace, what I say AI. Okay, I'm not referring to any other generative AI, and I'm not referring to other AI research tools that are out there, just to SciSpace. In academic writing as well as reading, which is very important, as you well know, how to identify common challenges, because there are quite a few that you'll probably recognize or you haven't encountered, and I hope you won't encounter, in understanding research papers, paraphrasing complex content, not just understanding, but also being able to write and improve your academic English writing for clarity and coherence, and to assist you in structuring your ideas, your arguments, and organizing ideas, as well as coming up with topics, because maybe you don't know what you want to research. So SciSpace provides an amazing agent. This is very new. It just came out. So if you haven't noticed it, that's because it wasn't there. It's very, very new. And you're also able to, if you use SciSpace, you obviously know this, how to simplify citation and referencing according to whatever you're using. And if you could just add, just out of curiosity, I'm wondering what citation style you're using, whether it's APA 7 or whether it's Chicago or any of the others. If you could just add that in the chat, because I'm really curious. And we'll engage in hands-on activities. You'll be trying things out in real time. And you can do this on your phone. Of course, SciSpace also has an app that you can install. Well, just open it up on your phone. No installation necessary. To use real research examples. And hopefully, you'll walk away with practical skills to enhance your research and workflow. And the most important aspect of all of this for EFL and ESL scholars is, of course, confidence. You want to be confident in your writing. So what brought you here? Deepak, I think you've kind of asked this question, but I'm going to ask a little further. If you could just add, if you're a combination of these, I'm wondering if you are an ESL, EFL student. In other words, you're learning English for special purposes at a university. If you are a researcher conducting research and you are either a faculty member or a scholar and you would like to be assisted with SciSpace. If you are a writer, which is very similar, but you might just be doing your master's or maybe you're doing your doctorate, or your faculty in multi-language for multi-language students. In other words, you're teaching not specifically English, but maybe English and other languages, or you're a librarian of multi-language students, or you're an academic writer who wants to improve. You simply want to improve your writing. Someone looking to use AI, and I'm talking about SciSpace AI for academic writing. Someone looking to use AI, SciSpace, for example, for literature review, or someone looking to improve. You're just someone. Research skills. So if you could add that in the chat, I'm going to take a look just to get an idea, because I didn't get the results, to tell you the truth, Deepak. So I'm not sure what the results were. I couldn't take a look. So oh, PhD. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's very, okay. So we've got 50% PhD scholars, undergrads for masters, okay, faculty or academic. That's almost 50, that's 43 industry researchers and others. So we've got everything that I'm looking at, which is wonderful. So we're on the same page. But if you'd like to add anything, please do in the chat. It's very, very helpful. I keep the chat open. So think of me as relating to it as we go. So again, welcome. And I'd like to ask you, what is your biggest challenge? It might be complex text, paraphrasing, citing. What is your biggest challenge? If there's something that's not listed here, obviously, please add it. Academic writing is your biggest challenge. Citing. All right, thank you. And citing in what style? If you could add that, Anissa, I think that would be helpful. Complex text, yes, definitely. Yes, I can relate to that because I see students, my students, struggling with that on a daily basis. And it's very, very frustrating sometimes when you don't understand or they're using a language they're not familiar with. Finding the right paper, excellent. Thank you, Abdullah, for that. Find research paper and journal. Very good to publish. Yes, you do want to publish, and that's really important. I'll talk about that at the very end if you're interested in my help. Paraphrasing, yes, that's right. Definitely. Yeah, citing, it shouldn't take a long time, you know. Henry, with SciSpace, it could be really fast. These days, and I'm glad you mentioned that because unless you know, you may find it that it takes a long time, but actually you can do it at the blink of an eye. I mean, not you, but SciSpace can do it for you. All right, so these are things that SciSpace will do for you. Now, you mentioned many of you, I think, probably most of you are using SciSpace. So if you could just add in the chat box, and I think this is important to me and maybe to you as well, what are the challenges that you have found with SciSpace? So I can relate to that as well. And I will relate to others, but specifically to SciSpace. Okay, so we're talking about, I'm going to put a new label, SciSpace challenges. Okay, that you're finding. It doesn't mean that SciSpace has problems, but it means that you're finding maybe some difficulties. So let's take a look at the session goals. First of all, how do we use SciSpace AI Agent, which just came out? And most of you have not used it. Yeah, there's a point there, text not humanized. You can also humanize text on SciSpace, Mohammed. Did you know that? You can check to see if it's, detect if it's AI generated, how much of it is AI generated, and then you can also humanize it. So, all right, we'll get to that. Understand how to simplify, of course, complex research texts, which is very important. I know for my students, the journals, exactly. Yes, Dr. Muna, the journals analyzing the research will find that it's AI generated. Well, you can get around this with paraphrasing, of course, and of course, checking the AI detector on SciSpace. How many of you know that there is an AI detector on SciSpace? Just curious. You know. All right, wonderful. So those who don't know, it's there. And then learn how to write, of course, I'm glad. Academic papers use AI to organize arguments and cite sources. I've mentioned that. And of course, learn to paraphrase clearly, because there are techniques on how to paraphrase, but you don't want to learn how to do that, because that'll take a few months for me to teach you how to do that. So SciSpace does it for you. And that's the idea. The idea is for me to not to teach my students how to do these things, because I teach immersive technologies, which is virtual reality and augmented reality. And we don't have time. I don't have time to spend with my students in teaching them how to paraphrase, how to write papers, and so on, because we focus on other things. So with SciSpace, it does it for them. It's actually my assistant, my teaching assistant. And of course, it's a teacher and an assistant for my students. So you learn to paraphrase, and you asked a good question there, and avoid plagiarism. And that's super important. All right, so the point there by Mohammed, I get what you're saying, but you may have to continue asking for the content to be humanized. So continue paraphrasing. Sometimes with AI bots, we need to keep asking. I don't know if you noticed this, but from my experience with AI bots, and I've used them all because I teach educators how to use them, you will need to keep probing and keep asking. Right, sorry about that. Yeah, there was no sound because I was coughing, and I had to stop. And of course, the excuse me, the most important thing besides avoiding plagiarism is to build confidence. English language learners, or those whose native language is not English, lack confidence when it comes to writing, when it comes to publishing, when it comes to speaking at conferences. So this lack of confidence can be dealt with through a tool such as SciSpace. So what are some of the challenges with academic reading and writing? You've mentioned some, but there are more. You mentioned all of these, all of them, in fact, except for the last one. The last one is pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Students face a lot of pressure to submit on time, but not only students, faculty members, scholars are faced with deadlines. And deadlines can change the whole equation. Because when you are under pressure, well, we all make mistakes, but non-native speakers of English are more pressured than others because they're dealing with a foreign or second language. And then what comes up is, I don't have time. Have you faced this where you just say, I don't have time to yourself? I don't have the time to do this properly. And then what happens? Let me know in the chat if this has come up for you, where you are pressured for time. You need to write an article and you don't have the time. You're busy with other things. Anyone? I'm looking at the chat because someone said there's no sound. So this is my way of knowing whether there is sound or not. Have you been under pressure when it comes to academic writing or reading? Deepak, is there sound? Okay, I'm getting responses. So obviously there is sound. Okay, this is my way of, okay, thank you for that. Now I know that you heard me. All the time, exactly. Okay, we're all under pressure at some point or other, and that includes all of us. It includes me, of course. I'm no different. Okay, we're all human, and the pressure, when we are under pressure to copy and paste, we go to a bot, we go to any bot. Could be ChatGPT, it could be Copilot, it could be Google, Gemini, Manus, whatever you're using, and we just copy and paste, right? Well, that's a challenge because yes, you had an assignment and you could, that's right. So what do? Okay, that's what happens. We forget academic integrity and ethical behavior, and we just copy and paste. And that's problematic. So these are some of the challenges that we face. I'll go through them very, very quickly since you were so gracious to mention. But you didn't mention the following. You didn't mention language barriers such as academic vocabulary. How do you choose words? How do you know what's the proper word? It's not your native language, so what are you going to do? You can translate, but that doesn't always work. Okay, so vocabulary is a problem, and you don't have time to start learning English right now. And then there's, you mentioned understanding, okay. But there are other concerns besides knowing the academic writing structure, the differences in citation that you mentioned. You mentioned all of these. Let's go through it. But there are others like lack of confidence. When we are under pressure, all of us, or if we are non-native speakers of the specific language, in this case, English, we make mistakes. So maybe it's better to just copy and paste and avoid making mistakes, right? That's what comes up often. We also worry about being misunderstood. Our paper is not going to be understood. Our research is not going to be understood, and it's not going to be accepted. Okay, so I see, yeah, it is a major, and we have to keep this in mind. It's very, very important to make a list for yourself, just like I did, of your challenges. And then you'll be able to resolve them. First step, let's see what my challenges are. So write them down digitally or by pen, pencil, or draw pictures of your challenges, whatever works for you, but make a list of your challenges. Another thing is limited access to resources. We don't go to libraries, and the libraries are outdated anyways, and it might take a long time. Digital libraries are expensive. My university doesn't have it. And some of the academic writing is in my native language. It's not in English, and so on. And I don't have time to take an English course. That's the major problem. So this is what my students look like. This is exactly what my students look like. They are frustrated, they're unhappy, and that is not a good thing, not for them, not for their families, for no one, okay? So pressure is problematic, and it leads to cheating. We try to find, and we spend a lot of time trying to find ways to fool the system, fool whoever we are providing the academic writing to, whether it's teachers, other scholars, publishers, journals. We are trying to fool the system, and it doesn't work in most cases, even when it's AI generated. So how do we overcome these challenges? I said the first step is to write them down. The second step is SciSpace, which is why I recommend it to my students. Very, very important. And why SciSpace AI? There's so many others out there. Why SciSpace? Well, I would say the first thing is, besides everything else, is the fact that they are willing to make changes. They're willing to listen to you and see what you need. So feel free to share your feedback with SciSpace. One of the greatest challenges that I find with many of these tools is that there's too much going on a page. And learners of English as a foreign or second language find it difficult to go through all the information. And these are some of the things that I usually notice as a teacher, past teacher of English as a foreign language. So why SciSpace AI? Well, first of all, the agent. You know, there's a new agent out there. It just came out. Deepak, when did it come out? I think a couple of days ago. No, it has to be about 5-6 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. So it's fairly new. And that's what SciSpace does. It listens to its users and it comes up with new ideas. And this AI agent is unbelievable. It's amazing. So with this agent, it assists you. Now you're not alone anymore. You have an assistant, which is wonderful. You can extract data, you can get information, you can get ideas on the topics, you can learn how to paraphrase. You can also have everything in a library called My Library. It supports Citation, APA, MLA, and others. I asked you, but I didn't get your response on what citation style you use. I would be very curious about that. So feel free at any time to add it in the chat so I can see that. So there is a citation generator for all the various styles. I use APA 7. And then, I don't know if you know this, have you chatted with a PDF file on SciSpace? Let me know in the chat. Yes, no, maybe. Yes or no. Have you chatted with a PDF file on SciSpace? Yes. Isn't it amazing? I just love it. Because you feel like you're not alone, right? There's an assistant that you can communicate with, and that's the idea. That's why SciSpace is amazing, because you have a bot that never tires, is very patient, and helps you. as you go through it. So there not only is a PDF chat option, but there's also a podcast generator. How many of you have listened to podcasts based on an article that you uploaded or that was there? Yes, no? Have you listened? Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't want to use my eyes and I just want to listen. I just want to hear someone read the article, summarize it, or just have a podcast about it. You know, listening sometimes it's a lot easier than reading text. So yes, there is a podcast generator. And I see a no there, but I'd like to get your input. How many people know that there is a podcast generator on SciSpace? Okay, I'd like to get your input. So yes, okay, just to get an idea. So we've got don't know. Okay, don't know means that only discovered it yesterday. Yay. Isn't that amazing? I just love hearing sound. And I'd love to hear you as well, but this isn't possible here. Okay. And there is a literature review, and you can find topics. If you don't know what to research or what to write about, this AI agent, SciSpace AI agent, can help you. And of course, there's an AI detector, so important, because as I said before, you might want to paraphrase or ask SciSpace to paraphrase a few times, because one time may not be enough. And of course, reading comprehension, that's through the podcast, and you can ask for clarifications at your level. You can ask the AI agent to please, can you please write this in simple English? No, simpler than this. Make it really, really like to a 10-year-old, or, you know, just ask it to make it as simple as possible. And there's vocabulary development. You can highlight technical terms and receive definitions or interpretations in your text. You also have a writing assistant. So you are all set. You've got a teacher who's actually helping you, more than a teacher, because it's doing it for you and it's doing it fast. And this is how it does it. Okay, it's got built-in APA, MLA, Chicago, and so on, organizational skills. I'm going to go through this quite quickly because I'd like to also share, and translation friendly. You can get short text segments and use Google Translate, for example, to translate. Language barriers, a lot of them. Okay, we talked about all of these. We also talked about, just to summarize, academic writing structures and how SciSpace helps. But you will also need to go on, okay, and check for yourself to make sure that everything is actually correct. And the referencing, plagiarism concerns, it helps paraphrase and reword content. We've mentioned that. And critical thinking, it helps you think. So it's not just copying and pasting when you're under pressure. It helps you think about things, it keeps asking you probing questions. So it's not only you asking, the bot, the agent also asks you. And it helps you gain confidence. I love the text and audio. It generates podcasts, as I mentioned before. Now, how do you improve? As an English language teacher, I've done a lot of research on how learners can improve their academic reading and writing. One of the ways is exposure. The more you read, you may not realize this, but when you're reading articles, your brain is doing the learning. Okay, it's picking up information and it's improving. You'll find that the more you use SciSpace Agent, your writing will improve, and your reading comprehension will improve with time. Okay, let me go through. You'll have this at the end, so you'll be able to go through it. Let me just take you, and we're going to try this out. All right, so are you ready? You won't see this logo anymore. It's changed, but you will see new, and let me see if I can stop this. Sharing. Yes. Okay. Going to go back now and see if I can get my browser. Yes, here we are. All right. So let's go to the agent. This is what it looks like now. Let me know in the chat if you can see it. I'm just going to walk you through, as I said, my favorite research tool and the agent. So right now it says newly launched because it is new. So you can go there with me right now. And notice what you get here, okay? There's a lot of information on the left. So I'm going to close that up for now. But you can go through it, and I encourage you, because notice what's here: AI Agent, my library. All these are very, very important. And then my recent chats, of course. Going to close that so I can focus on the center. Because as I said, we don't want too much text in front of us as we think. Notice there's also deep search. You've got some information at the bottom to help you out. And here you can ask, and this is what I did. Let me show you. I asked, it's here. Yes, it's here. I asked for simple English. I asked the AI agent to write everything in simple English, and you can do the same. And then the language will cater to your understanding. If it's too easy, you can say, well, okay, it's fine. You can go back to regular language, but you can, in fact, ask it to, I'm looking for, I think it was here. I was looking for research with AI tools, and I asked it to give me simple language. And it said, hello, I'd be happy to help you with research using AI tools, because I asked for research for learners of English as a foreign language. And notice the language here. It is quite simple. It's not academic. It's simple language just to get me going. And then I thought, well, you know what? I want something simpler. So I asked it, communicate in very simple English. And then this is what I got. I understand you want simple English and deep review. Yes, I want simple English. And then notice the language now. Okay, this is if you're writing a paper or anything, if you just want to communicate with the AI agent, ask for simplicity. Okay, so notice the language now. Okay, what do you notice about the language now? I understand you want, okay, to help you best, I need to know more about what you want to research about AI tools. So I'm not alone. I don't have to have all the answers. On the contrary, I don't have to know anything, which is what I love about this, because sometimes we don't know what we want to write about, or we know what we want to write about, but we want to be able to do this very slowly at the level of our English. So what kind of AI tools do you want to learn about? I'm looking for tools, in case you missed it, to improve my English writing and reading using AI. So it's suggesting different things. Why do you need this research? For school, for work, just to learn? What part interests you most? How they work, how to use them. In other words, I'm getting a lot of prompts here, which really help me understand what I want. And this is a wonderful way to also improve my English, because I'm practicing reading, okay, at a simpler level. But that's how you start off. So if your English is not that great, this is a wonderful way to get responses and questions from the AI agent. So then I went on and I asked for papers and noticed through the deep search, I got 400, it went through 407 relevant papers after going through 1,750 papers based on my need. And notice what my search was: chat and AI bots in beginner's English for language learning. And notice what it came up with: conversational AI bots for beginners English learning. There's the table of contents. And then notice the abstract. And of course, this review focused on using conversational AI bots. By the way, this is my interest. I'm interested in this. It's not just something that I came up with for you. It finds that AI tools enhance learner engagement. And that's what I want. I want my learners to feel engaged and provide accessible, interactive practice opportunities. I'm sure you would be interested in this as well. So there's the abstract, everything written for me, the introduction, and more. And notice everything is according to APA. And I want recent. I always ask for current articles. Notice the papers are here, the insights. Okay, everything is here. Now, this is the exciting part. This is where I get really excited because I love voice. I love to listen. I can request a PDF, or I can just go into play as podcast. Now I've got one open for you so that you can listen to it. And this is something that you may find difficult, but sometimes listening really helps. And notice what you can do here. You can also download the podcast. It's on Attention is All You Need. Download it, and you can transcribe it and translate it to your language. Now, in case you didn't know, SciSpace also has everything in other languages, so it's not only English. So let's listen to
Welcome,
it.
folks. Today we are discussing the
Can you
groundbreaking
hear
paper,
that?
Attention is All You Need, which introduces the transformer model.
I've heard a lot of buzz about transformers. What's the core idea behind this paper?
The core idea is revolutionary: to replace recurrent and convolutional neural networks, commonly used in sequence transduction tasks like machine translation, with purely attention mechanisms. They argue that this approach offers superior quality, increased parallelization, and significantly faster training times.
That sounds ambitious. How does using only attention mechanisms achieve this?
Well, traditional recurrent models process sequences sequentially, limiting parallelization. The transformer, however, uses self-attention. This allows the model to weigh the importance of different parts of the input sequence
Well, I'm not going to go
simultaneously.
through it, but you can. If you want me to share this article with you, you can, in fact, listen to everything and get a summary and an explanation and a lot more from these podcasts. And only SciSpace has this. I think it's absolutely amazing. I love it. So what do you think of it? Let me know in the chat if you're able to hear this. And what do you think of the podcast, this feature on SciSpace? You could add that. I guess it takes time for me to see the chat after you add something. All right, so I'm going to be looking at that. Let me go to the library in the meantime and show you, there's the article. As I said, you can also have a chat, of course, about the PDF file, about the article. And there I started writing, as you can see, how to conduct research that I was interested in. Going to go back to our slideshow. Okay, so in literature review, literature reviews are essential. We all know that when we're writing articles, when we're conducting research, doing our doctorate, our thesis for an MA or a postdoc, okay, or just research in general. This is where I usually start after I have my ideas and everything, because I think it's super important. Notice you've got different ways: deep review, high quality, or standard. And here you can see my topic, which was Learn English with AI Bots, and the questions that I was probed with. So it's the other way around. And then notice it said it takes up to 10 minutes to do all the data analysis and find the articles. What I like is the fact that it's giving me information. It's telling me what's happening as it goes. So I get a live preview of what's going on. And I'm a curious person. I like this. But if you don't like it, you can go away and come back when it's ready. So it's up to you whether you want to go through that or not. Notice my topic was conversational AI bots for beginner English. And this is what I got. You saw that. All right, next question. How do we avoid plagiarism? You know, we're all tempted, you know, to plagiarize sometimes, but we can't do it, okay? It's a no-no. Some universities even suspend students and faculty members for sure. So we want to humanize it. And this is what you can do. This is the AI Paraphraser, which I think you mentioned. So I think you're familiar with it. And you can do this a few times. So let's say you do it once and you have a choice here, whether you want academic, fluent, formal, or creative. And the length, of course, you do it once, you check it with the AI detector, and then you do it again until it is clear. So notice here, you can upload a PDF file or input text. And then this is an academic AI detector. As I said, if Turnitin, which is the only one that you have to worry about, as was mentioned in the chat, you may wish to try the humanizer and paraphrase over and over a few times until you get 100% not AI. Right now it's 100% AI. So you work on it, analyze it, work on it some more, or at least SciSpace will work on it. And then you'll get something like 1% and the sentences that need to be fixed. You can also ask, I don't know if your university lets you use Turnitin. Some universities let their students use it as well. So you might want to try that. And then you can reanalyze it again and again and again. Some of you mentioned that you have problems with citations and references. There's no need for it to take a long time. It's really, really easy with SciSpace free APA citation generator. So notice you can generate citations for anything, whether it's a journal, conference proceeding, book, web page, book chapter, patent, or report. And the most important part before we end is you're not alone. That is the most important part of SciSpace AI, that you can come at any time, night or day, 24/7, and get the assistance that you need with SciSpace Agent, the new agent. And it builds confidence, because the minute you know that you're not alone, someone's holding your hand and providing you with the tools that you need, it builds confidence. And once you have confidence, you're on your way. You're not alone. It simplifies reading, writing, citing, helps reduce stress. It does. Saves time, of course. You gain confidence, but you need to use it ethically and thoughtfully as an assistant, not use it to copy and paste. Don't let it do it for you. Be there with it all the way. If you're interested, there are some exclusive discounts that you can get until August 14. I'll share that, and I think Deepak will share the presentation with you, so you'll be able to see that. Now for questions.